Hi, welcome to Hodgen Farms here in Roachdale, Indiana. I'm Paul Hodgen.
And I'm Jenny Hodgen.
And my name's Hodgen.
And we're excited to show you around our place.
Hi.
This ground was actually purchased in 1972 by my grandparents, Bob and Marjorie Hodgen. And then my father graduated from Purdue in '73, and we've been farming here along the Big Raccoon Creek watershed since then. I actually grew up on this property and then recently returned full-time to the farm in 2012. I ended up getting my PhD, then working in industry, and came back to the farm in 2012. As you can also see in the background is two of our major crops that we grow, corn and soybeans. Right now at this time of the year, we've already harvested the wheat and we haven't planted it yet. But one of the other major crops that we grow here, because we are a diversified grain and livestock operation, is grass in our pastures. So it is prudent for us to be standing in a pasture to talk about this, because we have significant acres in grass production for feedstuff for our cattle. Our corn actually, a lot of it goes into two ethanol plants that are 30 miles from our farm in either direction, north or south. From the ethanol production, there's a byproduct called dry distillers grains, DDG, which we actually purchase and bring back to the farm and actually help feed our cattle with it. So we have a full cycle of the crop from farm to end user back to the farm. On the soybean side, we actually are grown for three markets. We have regular non-GMO soybeans that are going to Lafayette to be crushed, and then that soybean meal is being sent to the southeast in Georgia to be fed to the chickens. These will actually be in tofu, and our job, we have to keep track of the seed from the time it shows up to the farm, and keep this separate from any other soybeans that we raise, clear through till the truck leaves the farm for the final market. So we have to pay attention to grain quality and data management for these beans all the way through, so our customer gets exactly what they're wanting.
So you see the cows behind us. I actually grew up on a large ranch out in the southwest US in New Mexico, where my brothers still run our family ranch out there, and I even still have cows out there. Besides just raising cattle and having the history of raising cattle, I'm a meat scientist too, because I like to eat the products that come from them. So I do have my PhD in meat science. Some of the things that I've done throughout my career as a meat scientist have involved a lot of answering questions for our international community. And so I sit on the U.S. Meat Export Federation Board to try to answer questions that you guys might have about how we're raising our animals.
So just like all the producers in the United States, we too care about the health and well-being of our animals. There are several things that we do to ensure that these animals are growing well and that they are producing tasty meat for you. One of the most important things that we do is make sure all of our employees practice good handling practices, and so one of the ways we can ensure that is by having them go through regular beef quality assurance trainings. So some of the other things that we do to ensure the well-being of our animals is we work closely with our veterinarian and nutritionists. So by making sure that they get vaccinations at the right time and that they are getting the right nutrients at the right time of the year for the right stage of growth, just ensures that you're getting an awesome piece of meat. At the same time, these animals are as healthy and happy as they can be. So you can see we're in a pasture and there's still lots of grass growing. So because we live in an environment here in Indiana that gets lots of rain, we can practice rotational grazing. So we have smaller pastures than, say, what we would have out where I grew up. And we just move the cattle from pasture to pasture as the grass gets to a certain height. This ensures that we have grass year-round for the animals, so it reduces some of our costs. But even more importantly, it makes sure that there is still grass growing to sequester carbon, to keep our airs and water cleaner.
I'd like to take the time now and talk to you about some of the conservation practices that we employ on our farm. I'm sitting next to one of our soybean fields that is right next to Big Raccoon Creek. Our farm has a lot of surface water, tributaries flowing through it. So one of the conservation practices we employ is called a filter strip. And that is the grass buffer here you're seeing between our crop and the surface flow of Big Raccoon Creek here. The job of the filter strip is just as it says. It will filter out any sediment, and in that sediment will be in the nutrients captured here in the grass and filtered out before it enters into Big Raccoon Creek. Surface water quality is very important to our farm because Big Raccoon Creek feeds into one of the largest recreational lakes in the state, 5 miles downstream for us. So it's very important for us to do our part to make sure the water is clean for everyone to enjoy downstream. So here we are the 12th day of August here, standing in one of our cornfields that we planted first. And the corn is starting to dent now, so it won't be long before we're harvesting this field here. And this is one of the fields that is a dual purpose field for us. So we're gonna raise this corn and we're gonna fly on a cover crop here next week. An airplane will actually come in and broadcast wheat, turnip, and radish over the top of this crop. And it's just gonna land on the soil and germinate. So our goal for this field right now is not only to produce a corn crop, but it's also gonna help produce beef off this farm. So one of the funnest technologies that we actually talk about here on the farm that we use is, in the precision ag world, is actual variable rate seeding. So as the planter was coming across the field here, it had a map loaded into the monitor, and the GPS was telling the tractor where it was located on that map. And that map had the rate of seed to drop for this specific spot in the field. So what we've done is through capturing yield data and understanding the productivity of our ground in various places, we can actually change and maximize the yield potential of each part of the ground that is different in soil type or slope or topography. Anything that will affect the yield, we will change how we manage that piece of the ground. And we can do it right down to within a foot. Roughly in the same field, we're less than a football distance from where we started. But one of the things I want you to see in the background of this is how much taller the crop is, how much darker green it is, how much more of what we call leaf area here. And what I mean by leaf area is the actual amount of leaf surface area is in the canopy here behind me. And you should be able to see in this video here how much closer these ears are. So where we were in the previous spot was only about 26,000 plants per acre. And we're closer to about 38 to 39,000 plants here in a square acre. So this ground here, this is actually a little bit lower here. There's a lot more water holding capacity in the soil that we're standing on. It's a lot more productive. So we're able to raise and put more plants here, which in turn increases the yield and maximizes the profitability and the yield from this part of the field versus up on top of the slope here where there's a little bit more sand, less organic matter, less water holding capacity. From the crop side, I really see us as consumer preferences continue to change and they want a very specific product. I really see us on the farm doing more identity preserved crops and actually raising a crop for a specific end user.
So I also feel that the future of animal agriculture looks pretty good in the next 10 years. I think that it mirrors a lot what's happening on the crop side of things. So if you look at it from 3 different buckets, I think the first one that we know is changing and improving every day is the genetics of the animals. So as we fine-tune what consumers are wanting and what specific traits you want in your meat, we're better able to make the right breeding decisions to get you the quality of meat that you're wanting. In addition to the meat quality, I think some of the other improvements we're going to see in breeding is just animal health traits as well. So animals that stay healthier for longer, have better longevity, better feet so that they can go to the bunk longer, stay in certain climates longer. I also think that we're going to continue to see increased interest in things like traceability and sustainability.
On behalf of Hodgen Farms, thank you for visiting.
We hope that you come visit us in person someday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.